What ancient humans feared most. Close your eyes. Imagine the world 100,000 years ago. No cities, no lights, no walls, just you, your small group, and the vast unknown. Every sound in the darkness could be death. Every shadow could be a predator, and you have no science to explain any of it. This was the reality our ancestors lived in for hundreds of thousands of years. Ancient humans faced fears we can barely comprehend. Their fears were not abstract anxieties about deadlines or social status. Their fears were immediate, physical, and existential. Today, we travel back in time to understand what ancient humans feared most, and we will discover something surprising. Many of those ancient fears are still living inside us, shaping our behavior in ways we rarely notice. Let us begin with the most primal fear of all. Darkness was not just the absence of light. Darkness was the presence of death. When the sun went down, the warm, visible landscape became a black void full of unseen threats. Nocturnal predators with superior night vision became active. Large cats, hyenas, wolves, bears. Ancient humans were at a massive disadvantage. Their ears strained for every sound. Every snap of a twig could be a predator closing in. This was not occasional fear. This was an every single night fear for over 2 million years of human prehistory. Anthropological evidence shows ancient humans rarely ventured from their fire at night. Fire was the first technology against darkness, creating a bubble of light and relative safety. But fire was fragile. It needed constant feeding. If it went out, everyone was suddenly blind and exposed. The fear of darkness was burned so deeply into human psychology that even today, children and adults feel primal unease in complete darkness. That is not irrational. It is ancestral memory. This connects directly to another fundamental fear, the fear of the unknown. Ancient humans had no science to explain their world. Why did the sun rise? What causes lightning? Why do earthquakes happen? The world was a mystery, and mysteries are terrifying. When something cannot be explained, the mind fills the void with imagination. Ancient humans filled that void with spirits, gods, demons, and monsters. Thunder was the voice of an angry deity. Earthquakes were giant creatures stirring underground. The eclipse was a cosmic battle. This was not superstition. This was survival logic. If you do not understand a threat, you cannot prepare for it. The unknown was genuinely dangerous. Archaeological evidence shows ancient humans developed complex rituals to handle this fear. Burial sites with tools and offerings suggest belief in an afterlife. Cave paintings may have been attempts to control their world through ritual. Ceremonies before hunts, before battles, before major decisions. The fear of the unknown drove the creation of the first religions, the first art, and the first attempts to understand the cosmos. Perhaps the most immediate and physical fear was the fear of predators. For millions of years, humans were not at the top of the food chain. We were prey. Soft, slow, without natural weapons like claws or fangs. Our only advantages were intelligence and cooperation. Early hominins were hunted by massive predators. Saber-toothed cats with knife-like teeth designed to crush skulls. Giant hyenas as tall as a human. Cave bears that could kill with a single swipe. Fossil evidence tells a brutal story. Early human skulls show distinct puncture marks from large cat teeth. Some cave sites contain piles of hominin bones collected by predators over generations. The psychological impact of living as prey cannot be overstated. The edge of the forest was a potential ambush point. Tall grass was cover for stalking predators. The water source was where crocodiles came to hunt. This predator fear explains instincts still alive today. Our startle response to sudden sounds, our automatic scanning for threats, our deep fear of snakes and spiders. Even our love of horror stories may be processing these ancient predator fears in a safe space. But there was a painful irony. To escape predators, ancient humans had to stay close to each other. Solitary humans were dead humans. The group was the only defense. This created another fear, the fear of the other human. Intergroup violence was a real and persistent threat throughout prehistory. Competition for resources, territory, and mates frequently turned deadly. Archaeological sites show skulls with stone weapon marks, skeletons with embedded projectile points, mass graves from coordinated attacks. The fear of strangers was not prejudice, it was survival. An unknown group could be traders or raiders. The cost of being wrong was death. This created a tribal instinct still embedded in human psychology today. We still instinctively trust our in-group and fear the out-group. But there was an even more intimate fear within the group, the fear of being cast out. Exile was a death sentence. A solitary human could not hunt large game, could not defend against predators, could not survive alone. The group was life itself. Being expelled meant dying of exposure, starvation, or predation. This fear of social rejection is one of the most powerful drivers of human behavior even today. Anxiety about being excluded, about not fitting in, about being judged, all trace back to a time when social rejection meant death. Now let us turn to perhaps the most relentless fear of all, the fear of hunger. Modern humans rarely experience true hunger. True hunger is the body slowly consuming itself. It is the constant awareness that there is not enough food and there will not be enough food. Ancient humans lived on a knife edge of food security. Hunting was inconsistent. Some days the hunters returned with meat. Many days they did not. Gathering was seasonal. Nuts, berries, and roots were only available at certain times. Food storage was extremely limited before agriculture. The fear of starvation was a permanent background condition of prehistoric life. Skeletal remains consistently show severe malnutrition. Harris lines in bones indicate childhood starvation episodes where growth simply stopped. When hunger became severe, ancient humans faced an impossible choice: stay and starve, or venture into unknown territory where there might be food or predators or hostile groups or nothing at all. This hunger fear explains our modern relationship with food, our tendency to overeat when food is available, our craving for high-calorie foods, our bodies storing energy as fat. All were survival advantages in a world of food scarcity. The seasons amplified the fear of hunger like nothing else. Winter was a season of death. The world went cold and barren. Plants died. Animals hibernated or migrated. Ancient humans had to prepare all year, storing food, building shelters, making clothing from animal hides. If preparations were insufficient, winter meant starvation. The very young and very old died first. Archaeological sites sometimes show desperate measures, including cannibalism of the already dead. The fear of winter shaped mythology worldwide. The underworld as a cold, dark place. Stories of eternal winter. The celebration of the winter solstice, when light slowly returns. These were collective processing of shared seasonal trauma. Spring must have felt like resurrection itself. This brings us to a fear we share with our ancestors more directly than almost any other: the fear of disease. Ancient humans had no germ theory, no understanding of bacteria, viruses, or parasites. When someone got sick, there was no explanation. One day healthy, the next day burning with fever. Children were especially vulnerable. Infant mortality in prehistoric times is estimated at 40 to 50%. Almost half of all children never reached adulthood. Most parents buried at least one child. The fear of watching a loved one die from an invisible enemy, unable to help, unable to understand, must have been devastating. This fear produced the first healers, shamans and medicine women who claimed knowledge of herbs and rituals. Many treatments were ineffective, but some worked. Willow bark chewed for pain contained the chemical that became aspirin. The fear of disease also produced the earliest public health measures: quarantine, burning the dead away from living areas, avoiding contaminated water. These practices predate germ theory by tens of thousands of years. Now the most abstract and yet the most profound fear, the fear of death itself. Humans are almost certainly the only animals that understand their own mortality. We know with absolute certainty that we will die. Ancient humans did not just fear dying. They feared what dying meant. What happens after death? Does consciousness continue, or is death simply nothingness? These questions tormented ancient humans just as they torment us today. The evidence is everywhere: careful burial of the dead, grave goods, tools, weapons, food, bodies positioned in specific orientations, red ochre symbolizing blood and life sprinkled over corpses. Ancient humans invested enormous energy in death rituals. By creating beliefs about the afterlife, they made death slightly less terrifying. They asserted some control over the uncontrollable. The fear of death also manifested in a drive for symbolic immortality. Cave paintings, carvings, and monuments were not just art. They were statements: I was here, I existed, I mattered. Some fears were specific to certain environments. Coastal peoples feared the sea, vast, unpredictable, and deadly. Storms could appear from nowhere and sweep away entire fishing parties. Desert peoples feared thirst. In arid environments, missing a water source by a few miles meant death. Mountain peoples feared avalanches. Arctic peoples feared the cold. Jungle peoples feared venomous creatures. The specific fears varied, but the pattern was the same. Nature was vast and indifferent to human suffering. Ancient humans also feared supernatural forces. The evil eye, the belief that certain people could cause harm just by looking at you with envy, was feared across the Mediterranean, the Middle East, and South Asia. Protective amulets date back at least 5,000 years. Demons and evil spirits were feared across virtually all ancient cultures. Mesopotamia had the Udug. Sumer had the Gala. Ancient Hebrews feared the Sheddim. These were not abstract concepts. They were believed to be as real as the physical world. Witches and sorcerers represented the terrifying idea that someone in your own community could use supernatural power to harm you. The fear of curses was equally powerful. Curse tablets and protective spells are among the most common archaeological finds from the ancient world. Now, a question that might change how you think about fear itself. Were these fears a weakness, or were they the greatest survival tool ancient humans possessed? The humans who feared darkness stayed close to the fire and survived. Those who did not were eaten by predators. Humans who feared the unknown were cautious and prepared. Those who assumed everything would be fine died from unforeseen dangers. Humans who feared social rejection maintained their place in the group. Those who did not care were cast out and died alone. Fear was not a flaw. Fear was the engine of survival. It was the voice that said, "Be careful, pay attention, this could kill you." Modern humans often view fear as weakness. We celebrate fearlessness, but our ancestors would have found this suicidal. To them, fear was wisdom. Fear was hard-earned knowledge about what kills humans. Ancient humans also feared anger, their own and that of others. In a small group where everyone depended on everyone else, uncontrolled anger could destroy the bonds that kept everyone alive. A violent outburst could lead to injury, exile, or revenge cycles that tore the group apart. Many ancient cultures developed elaborate systems for controlling anger. Ritualized conflict resolution, ceremonial apologies, mediation by elders. These were not social niceties, they were survival technologies. Did ancient humans fear the future? The evidence suggests they did. They feared the failure of the hunt, the coming winter, the neighboring tribe attacking. They also feared omens, eclipses, comets that might foretell disaster. Divination, predicting the future through signs and rituals, emerged in virtually every culture. Reading entrails, watching the flight of birds, consulting oracles. These were attempts to reduce the fear of an unknown future. The fear of the future is unique to humans. Animals live in the present, but humans can imagine the future, and that means we can fear it. This ability was a double-edged sword. It allowed planning and preparation, but also created anxiety about things that might never happen. Let us pause and reflect on something remarkable. All these fears, darkness, predators, hunger, disease, death, rejection, the unknown, were woven together into the daily fabric of prehistoric life. And yet they did not just survive. They thrived. They spread across every continent, adapted to every environment, created art, music, language, technology, and community. They loved their children, mourned their dead, and found moments of joy even in a world full of terror. Fear was real, fear was constant, but fear was not the whole story. Courage was also real. Hope was also real. The stubborn refusal to give up was just as much a part of their lives as fear. Now here is the fascinating part. Those ancient fears never really left us. They are still inside us, wired into our nervous systems, coded into our instincts. Your fear of public speaking. That is the ancient fear of social rejection, of potential exile. Your body reacts as if your life is in danger because, for your ancestors, it was. Your anxiety about the future. That is the ancient fear of the unknown, of what lurks beyond the firelight. Your craving for high-calorie foods. That is the ancient fear of hunger, driving you to store energy for a famine that never comes. Your startled response to sudden loud noises. That is the ancient fear of predators, your nervous system preparing for fight or flight. Your discomfort in complete darkness. That is the ancient fear of the night, when predators hunted and humans hid. We are walking around in the modern world with Stone Age brains. Our fears were calibrated for a world that no longer exists, but the ancient fears are still there, just expressed in new contexts. When you feel fear, you are not weak. You are not broken. You are experiencing the same survival mechanism that kept your ancestors alive through 200,000 years. Your fear is ancient. Your fear is human. And just like our ancestors, we have a choice. We can let fear control us, or we can acknowledge it, respect it, and move forward anyway. The ancient humans who feared the most also hoped the most. They built fires against the darkness, created stories against the unknown, formed communities against predators, developed medicine against disease, planted seeds against hunger. Every human achievement is a response to fear. Our cities are giant fire pits where we huddle together for safety. Our science pushes back the darkness of ignorance. Our art, our music, our stories, all of it is us looking at the vast, indifferent universe and saying, I am here. I am afraid, but I am still standing. Ancient humans faced terrors we can barely imagine. They survived so that we could exist. Their fears are our inheritance, but so is their courage. And perhaps the most important thing ancient humans feared was not any specific threat, but the possibility that their fear would win, that they would give up and let the darkness take them. The fear of surrender was stronger than the fear of death itself. Something deep in the human spirit refuses to accept extinction. Something wants to live, to fight, to build, to love, to matter. From a few thousand frightened primates huddled around fires on the African savanna to 8 billion humans reshaping the planet, all built on a foundation of fear, and all a testament to courage. So the next time you feel afraid, remember, your fear is ancient. It is the voice of 1,000 generations of survivors whispering, "Be careful, pay attention." Listen to it, respect it, and then do what they did. Look at the darkness and step forward anyway. The ancient